Hello and welcome to the Sunday Gathering, number 133. For those that haven't met me, my name is Philip Dykes. It's my pleasure to be your host for this Sunday Gathering. Each week we take turns in creating a theme and picking the music. This week's theme is Living in the Moment.
And living in the moment, we'll be able to see the music that Phil has chosen, but also the people he has asked to deliver the Sunday Gathering for you. In a moment, we'll be passing to Sandra Champlain, as always. Then we will be asking Maryalice to deliver the address. Maryalice Coleman to deliver the address. We'll be asking Avril Craig Johnson from Australia to do the mediumship, along with Mary Newton from New Zealand. And as you begin to watch this Sunday Gathering, we will be on our way to Longton, in fact starting our live Sunday Divine Service at Longton Spiritualist Church. Over to you, Sandra.
Almost forgot to unmute myself. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday Gathering. I'm Sandra. If we haven't met yet, I decided to turn the chat box on for just the beginning here. If you want to share with us where you are. Times are tough in this world right now, and a big shout out to our friends in Florida and the Carolinas and that area who got impacted by Hurricane Ian, which is it just devastated homes and businesses and lives. Awful. And we do know that there's many areas of this world that people are suffering physical, emotional pain. And as Phil said in the recording, we are here talking about living in the moment and being present. So you have my word, as well as the ladies joining me here, that we're going to do everything we can today to just help empower you in your life, wherever you are, however you feel. It's not just about bridging from our world to the afterlife through our medium demonstration. Everything that we do, embracing the reality of the afterlife, really is to have us live a good life while we're here. So I want to welcome you wherever you are. You're at home with us. I thought it was just time we can meet some of our friends in our community. We just see your names. We don't know where you are, and we're really grateful that we are together. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Avril for our opening prayer.
Thank you, Sandra. And if you could please just blend with me in prayer. Divine and eternal God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together in such a heartfelt community. We know that at this time, we all need resilience, and we all need to reinforce that belief in the unseen world. For this truth is indeed miraculous. And we know through these gatherings that contacts can be made with our loved ones and with those we know in the spirit world to bring forward their healing, their guidance, their love and upliftment, so that we can know from deep within our soul that there is no death, that life is eternal. And we ask that these communities continue to spread this word of eternal and divine love, and that they continue to help us, and you help us to feel that divine energy, that divine love, resilience and positivity that we can find deep within ourselves. And as we live through each moment in our lives, let us always have that belief, indeed that knowledge of eternal life and the continuous existence of all souls. And until we meet again, we thank you for this time to spend together and to blend in divine love and positivity. Amen.
Oh, thank you so much. Beautiful. And for those of you who weren't here before the music started, Carrie and Phil are doing a live demonstration in a church. So they'll be watching the replay when they're done. And then Darren just needed a day off. The poor soul, he works 7 days a week So we gave him the day off. So it is me with these fabulous ladies. So we've got me for the reading today. Here we go. Two monks, one old and one quite young, are walking down a wooded path, preparing to cross a river when they come upon a woman crying by the riverside. The older monk approaches the woman and asks her what is wrong. She tells him that a few days back she crossed this river to visit relatives in a nearby town. But now that she's returned and the river has risen due to recent rains, she's unable to cross again to make her way back home. Without missing a beat, the old monk scoops the woman up in his arms, wades across the river with her, and gently sets her down on the other side. He then returns to the young monk's side, and together they resume their walk. The young monk is speechless, overwhelmed by the knowledge that as monks, they have taken a vow not to ever touch a woman. And he is in utter confusion at what he's just witnessed. They walk in silence for what must have been hours before the young monk can no longer contain himself. And he blurts out, "Brother, as monks, we have taken a vow of celibacy and to avoid contact with women. And there you were, carrying a woman in your arms. What were you thinking?" The older monk looks at the young monk with compassion in his eyes and said, "Brother, I set that woman down on the riverbank hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Oh, to be the older monk and live that much of the present. Can you imagine? But how many of us spend 99% of our time as the young monk right up here in our heads? Not only do we spend our mind time thinking about the past, but we are busy worrying about the future. Have you ever planned a vacation and weeks and days before you travel, you are happy, relaxed, you can already feel the sun on your shoulders and getting that pina colada or margarita delivered to you poolside? But then, while on vacation, with only a day or two left, you're at the pool with that pina colada, and your mind is back at home with the stress of work, phone calls, unfinished business, and thoughts of the real world. We don't live in the present time most of the time. Now, we all understand the benefits of being in the present moment, but why is it so difficult to sustain it? So I did some research, and get this. Our brains are designed to store the highlights and special moments of our lives as memories and give us a pleasurable boost when we think of them. Most of our days don't contain special occasions, so the brain gets more pleasure thinking about memories from the past. And as we're thinking about the future, our brain is designed to keep us alive, so it is constantly living in a state of anxiety. There is an unlimited amount of options that could happen, and we automatically feel dread of the unknown. It is said that 99% of the things that we worry about never happen, and the 1% that does happen isn't as bad as we thought it would be. John Kabat-Zinn, mindfulness teacher and author of Full Catastrophe Living, Using the Wisdom of Your Body and Mind to Face Stress, Pain, and Illness, gives some basics of living in the present. The first is non-judgment. And non-judgment refers to the skill of observing what's happening in our own minds and around us without jumping to the conclusion that they are good or bad. Instead, we just experience them. Next is patience. Patience is wisdom. Not everything can happen fast. Some processes cannot be hurried. This applies even to our own growth and mindfulness journeys, which require patience with ourselves. Next is to have a beginner's mind. The attitude of a child seeing something for the first time is at the core of the concept of a beginner's mind. Rather than passing the ordinary things around us without a second thought, instead we strive to welcome the new possibilities of a new moment and remove all expectations. Next is trust. Trusting yourself and your intuition is at the core within the attitudes of mindfulness. Honor your feelings. Keep your boundaries and support your own instincts and wisdom. Next is acceptance. Acceptance is hard, but it is essential. When things aren't the way we want them to be, we must accept them exactly as they are. Even if we want to change things, we must first accept the current reality. Next is generosity. Generosity is about giving joy, time, attention, and thought to other people. It's about focusing on others for just the simple sake of making them happy. And last is gratitude. People who practice gratitude report lower stress, lower anxiety, and depression. Grateful people feel better about their lives. We can be grateful for anything, from big events to the smallest details in the present moment. People who keep gratitude journals on a weekly basis have been found to exercise more regularly, have fewer physical symptoms, feel better about their lives as a whole, and feel more optimistic about their upcoming week as compared to those who don't. Now, you can tie in generosity with gratitude and talk about what you're grateful for with the people in your life to make a little game of it. I met John Kabat-Zinn almost 20 years ago at a workshop, and I remember him teaching mindfulness and taught it by explaining how to eat a raisin. Yes, a little dried up grape. It took 4 minutes from holding the raisin, investigating it, looking at the color and its shape and how much it weighed and how it felt in the fingers, to the smell of it, and then placing it on the tongue. How did it feel to the teeth? And then eventually chewing it and swallowing it, being present to the raisin. Could you imagine the joy that could come being that present to your daily experiences? And how would the quality of your relationships improve if we are that present and grateful for the people in our lives? We're going to move into our healing segment now. And friends, whether you believe it or not, our prayers and our positive thoughts really do make a difference in the world. I want everyone to just take a moment now and ask for healing to be sent to those who need it, whether it's physically or emotionally. Anyone who offers healing for another gets it back themselves. And of course, we have you in our healing thoughts. Now, if we can take some of the advice of what I just read and do our best to stay present. It may be easy to look at your phone or think about what you have to do, but with the video, it's a beautiful video, Whitney Houston singing that Phil picked. Stay present to the song, no judgment. You have your eyes opened or closed. And then when it's over, we're going to hear from Maryalice for the address. All right, let's bring on Whitney for our healing.
I have to collect myself. That song. I love that song. Boy, what a talent. That's amazing. I want to say thank you, Avril, for that beautiful prayer. It was just set the tone for this time. And your words, Sandra, were so beautiful and so poignant. And I feel like, gosh, I don't have to say anything now because Sandra, but I will because I'm here. And oh gosh, sorry. You know, I want to just say, and if anybody who was affected by the hurricane in Florida or the Carolinas, seeing the pictures and reading about it, my heart just goes out to all of you. I can't imagine what you have been through. And it's hard when we go through such difficult times to think that we can sit and breathe deeply and everything's going to be fine. It doesn't quite work that way. Because I know when we go through traumatic times and difficult times and bad news or whatever, our brain goes into action in a good way. And it buffers us. This part of the brain is about survival. The primal part of the brain is about survival. And so we are able to hear or experience what's going on. And then there's that buffer of a slight shock. And the adrenaline pumps, the cortisol pumps, and we can't even think straight. That is normal. And it's the way the human body responds. When the dust settles and we can get our thinking back and absorb kind of what's happening, we get the mind back, we get our thinking brain back. Because it goes into a fog when we're in that shock. And when that happens, when we can settle and when the dust settles, we can start absorbing everything that's going on. If you can, and when you can, take a moment. Take a moment for yourself. And sometimes we just have to feel what we're feeling, and that's okay. Because the longer we hold it in, that's not helpful. But when we can feel it and express it, that's the good part. Because we're staying in that moment and we're living in that moment. I want to liken it to anybody who has given birth and you're in labor. My first child took 35 hours to get to this earth. And halfway through, I was so exhausted. And I was saying I remember, which is silly, but I told the doctor, I said, I just want to go home. Can I go home now? I don't have to have this baby. I just want to go home. And we know it doesn't work that way. We have to stick with it until that baby is born. And the same for difficult times. We have to stick with it until the light shines again. Now, the good part in our lives is, and I want to say about even this community of people, anybody who's listening who's been affected by the hurricane, or even anything recently of a sudden loss or going through depression or anything, we are here and we do lift our prayers and our light and love towards you. And that's the beautiful part, because sometimes we cannot be present for ourselves. Sometimes in life, we are distraught, we are overwhelmed. And it's friends and family, community that can come in and be present for us in those moments. And that's the beauty. We are there for one another. So as I share that, I want to go on and just share a little bit about the different types of being in the moment and being present or being mindful. There are different terms for it. And we know the benefits. First of all, we know scientifically that being mindful, being present, being in the moment, being quiet has such beautiful health benefits. It's good for our mental health. It's good for our physical well-being. It's good for spiritual connection and growth. It has so many pluses. And it's important to take the time. And it is a practice. It's something to get used to. You know, some of us talk about sitting in the power or sitting in meditation. And we work our way up to spending more time in doing that. And that's okay. We got to start somewhere, right? So personally, one, just for yourself, sitting, and I'm just going to explain something that helped me over the years. It's just sitting and you're just present in your room and you're looking around and you're just kind of feeling yourself in the chair. If you have a window, you can look out. Maybe you'll see a beautiful tree or some flowers or bushes or something, the blue sky, the clouds. When we can focus on something, and Sandra hit on it too, like, and I have a plant across my room and I can look at it and I can take time studying it, just like eating that raisin. I can look at it and go, oh my gosh, that plant has grown so much the past few years. And look at the green. It's so lush. It's very different than the green in the plant on the other side of the room. And wow, it's still alive in spite of me taking care of it. You know, I can bring humor into it. But when we take time to notice something, or even the end table I can look at and go, wow, that's beautiful wood. Someone created that chest of drawers. Someone just put so much thought into that. And I can begin to feel grateful for that furniture item that I walk by 50 times a day, don't even think twice about it. Or I can see a picture of loved ones and just focus on them and love them. You know, when we start doing that, all the other stuff goes away. When we are sitting in love and gratitude, our minds can only focus sincerely on one thing at a time. And then the good feelings come in, and then our breath can begin to regulate. I also am aware of people who just are very anxious, have a lot of energy. It's a little hard for them to sit quietly. I know that. There's a few people in my family like that. So here's something I learned over the years is two things. One, do a walking mindfulness moment. Go get that energy out. Go for a walk. But notice the trees you're passing, or a house with a certain paint color. Don't just walk quickly, because I know when we're upset or we have a lot of energy, we just put our heads down and we go like this. But if you can walk and just pay attention and look up. I know I look really silly. I go for walks quite often. This time of year and the trees are starting to turn. The colors for me are like psychedelic. I don't know why, and I don't ask questions, but I just stare and I'll look up. I don't care who's watching. I am so grateful I can see it and love it and just enjoy it for that moment. And I'm not thinking about anything else. Heaven knows I got a lot to think about and on my mind, and you know, we have our monkey minds. But when we take those moments for ourselves, it's really important, more than you know. And here's a breathing technique for those who are anxious or have high energy or going through a difficult time, but you know you just want to sit for a minute or 2 or 3 or 10. When we are high anxiety or we have a lot in our minds, this is a breathing technique I learned recently, and it makes a lot of sense. Instead of taking that first deep breath and blowing out, you go like this. It looks weird, but it works. It calms the sympathetic nervous system. We want the parasympathetic nervous system to come up to play. And when we breathe like that, if you think about it, it's like when we cry really hard and we do that because the body is adjusting itself, trying to get calm. So if you do that a couple times, see if that works for you. I know it's worked for me. At first I thought, well, that's kind of silly, but I did try it and it works. Another thing is, I learned something from Hal Dworkin. I think I'm pronouncing his last name right, who was like the father of the letting go therapy. He talked about envisioning just sitting quietly again, and our monkey minds are going a mile. I don't know about you, as soon as I sit down, all of a sudden, everything in the world starts spinning in my mind. So it's taking that monkey mind and literally envisioning putting it in a box, setting it on a sailboat. And he says, breathe in and blow that sailboat out. Actually, when we blow like we're blowing through a straw, it takes away tension because it's a slow process. And it's a mindful process as well. And I love that because I've used that in technique a few times, well, more than a few times. And for me, it works. Or putting in a box, putting that on a shelf, knowing I can get back to it later. All right, I can get that worry later or that concern later. I'm going to spend time now. And I'm going to connect with my higher self. And then I'm going to connect with my higher power. And it's beautiful and wonderful. It does take practice. So I want to say, stick with it. If you do a little bit in the morning, maybe in the afternoon. Mark Waldman is a brain researcher and scientist. And I know about him and have his books. I've been to his conferences. He is amazing. This man, his brain is like 15 brains packed into one, like Neil Tyson, oh, I forget his name, Tyson, you know who I mean. Anyway, I'm thinking too fast. He is a brain scientist and he's so fascinating to listen to. And he's done the research. He knows everything about the brain possible. But you know what? This man puts alarms on his phone throughout the day to stop and have mindful moments, just to be present. And he teaches this because he knows the well-being and the health aspect of doing it. And the other thing is, I didn't know this until recently, but he's also an artist. So here you have the creative mind meld with the scientific mind. I love it. Here's what he did. He studied this for 2 or 3 years, the creative mind. He goes, when we sit quietly, we can find solutions to our problems sometimes, or we can get very creative ideas. A lot of inventors have done so when we sit in mindfulness and just peace and quiet. We have 5 neural networks in the brain. Do you know that the biggest one is the creative and imaginative part of the brain? It sits right up here. It goes, if you put the palm of your hand up here, it's this big, and it takes up a large part of the brain. And it comes fully intact when we're born. The other neural networks are created as we experience things, and our sensory and our motors, everything's taken place as we grow as infants and toddlers. But that part is there already. And I love that. Our imagination just isn't about pretend or stories. It's a tool that is used for us. And we know, those of us who are practicing mediums, that the imagination part is used quite often for spirit world to come in and help us get the message through that they want. It's amazing. And so no wonder sitting in the power and just sitting quietly and collecting our thoughts and gaining access to that part of our brain is so vital, and it works. And so I'm going to move on to another part of presence that's important. That's with one another, when we're with people, being in the moment, being present for somebody. You know how it feels like when you're sharing with somebody, you're talking to them and they're like looking at their watch or looking around the room. It doesn't feel good. It feels dismissive and disrespectful. When we can be mindful and be present for somebody else, it is a beautiful thing. We as humans want to be heard. We want to be known. We want to be understood. And when we're in a situation where it's not just the conversation of this and that, yeah, I did that, I went there, yeah, that's cool, that's cool. We have those conversations, kind of surfacey fun. But we're engaged into a conversation where somebody is, you could tell they need to talk about something. To pay attention to them and look them in the eye and just calm our minds, because immediately we might want to go, oh yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. But just to listen and maybe nod, knowing that you're listening, and let them speak. That is such a gift to that person and to ourselves as well. It's beautiful and wonderful. The other part of it is intuitively, we're checking out their body language, their tone of voice, their facial expressions. But try to be mindful and actually pay attention to those things. It only increases our own emotional intelligence and social intelligence when we can do that. And it is a beautiful thing. It also helps with mediumship, I'll have to say that. So I love Maya Angelou because she leaves us with so many quotes. And this one where she says, people will forget what we said. People will forget what we do. But people won't forget how we made them feel. And when we're present with somebody and we're listening carefully, that person's going to feel heard and they're going to know you made them feel that way. And that's a beautiful thing. It really, really is. The last part I want to talk about in our presence settings, to be mindful in social settings. And I think a lot of us know this already. When you're walking into a memorial service or a funeral, you're not walking in high-fiving, hey, how are you? How you doing? No, we walk in with respect. We're quiet. We talk to the family members. We give our condolences and a hug. We look them in the eye. We say what we can to bring some comfort. And we're very aware of those moments. And that is important to understand. Same thing. How do you make people feel when they're in your presence? That is so important. And then we go to maybe a different social setting. How do you walk into a room? In your power, in your confidence? And I'm not talking about pride or ego. I remember when I was a lot younger, I was so shy. And I was so self-conscious that when I went anywhere, it was so hard for me to look anybody in the eye. Because I grew up feeling like I was just the biggest loser that I was ever born on this planet. That I had no right to be among people that I thought were smarter than me or more successful. And I really had a hard time. And the thing is, we're not present when we're feeling that way. We're not present for others when we're so self-conscious. And we can change that part of us. And I've done that over the years for myself to the best I can. I have my moments. But when we can be our truly authentic selves, warts and all, and be present for ourselves, to be present for other people. And I know you know this, like when we walk into a gathering, let's say a social setting, and you're kind of drawn to people who are like, they're just there, they're authentic, they're fun, they're just relaxed, they're happy. And you know, the ones who walk into the room where they're like, I'm God, look at me. You know, it's like, you kind of step back from them. You're like, I don't think so. They're a little bit harder to get to know, if you know what I mean. But as long as we can present ourselves in the most authentic way we can and show up in the moment, whatever that moment is. And sometimes there's uncertainty to our moments. There are. Sometimes we are in situations or social settings we're a little bit uncertain. But then we can trust. This is where I know for me, I trust for confidence I might need or the words I might need. Because I know I have those around me in the unseen world to kind of give me a boost if I need it, which is good to know. So I'm going to put my glasses on for a second, have my notes off to the side here. I want to make sure I'm time wise to the, I guess that's about it. That's all I'm going to say because I think my time is up, but thank you. Thank you for letting me share. And I am passionate about these things. I am passionate about personal growth and development. And I do have a YouTube channel. I've got an okay to say this, that I go live every Monday and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, talking about everything I've known for 29 years of being a coach and a mentor, because I love this. I love talking about this and making us better and feel better and be more connected with ourselves and with spiritual growth. So I love this topic. Thank you so much. And thank you, Phil and Carrie, for allowing me to speak today.
Oh, thank you so much, Maryalice. And yes, she did get permission to share that. I tell you, times are tough, and sometimes you just can watch a video and it's just what you need. And you can go to YouTube, just type in Maryalice Coleman. You'll find her. All the replays are there too. Thank you for that. Lovely words. I was busy taking notes. And it's interesting because with our Sunday gathering, it's a labor of love, of course, because we all do this just out of the kindness of our hearts and our passion for helping humanity. But what happens is I think we get our lives out of it as well, from preparing for the prayers to doing the mediumship to doing the address, even the research I did with the reading. I can't share that without getting it right back. So thank you so much, Maryalice. So many great words. And a shout out to Whitney Houston too for that song, because I stayed so present to that song. And I heard the words like I've never heard it before. One moment in time and you will seize eternity. When I make the announcements, I always feel like a broken record inviting you to join us for a psychic or mediumship class. But until you get a taste of knowing yourself and knowing things you shouldn't know about people, you start realizing you are a soul having a human experience. And we're going into our mediumship demonstration right now. And Avril and Mary are both trained and are both committed to humanity on both sides of the veil. And to tap into eternity, like Whitney just said, they need to be in the present moment. They can't be thinking about their grocery list and what there is to do. Of course, there's always nerves involved. We always have a big audience, and I'm sure they're nervous. But to trust the spirit world and to trust those pictures and images and feelings that are coming in belong to someone here in our gathering. There's nothing quite like it, but they have to take that one moment in time and be present. So we're moving on to our demonstration of mediumship, and we do this to let everyone know that our loved ones are around us. Certainly they continue their lives and their experiences on the other side, but they're only a thought away. They can be with us whenever. And our mediumship demonstrations, we get to see how close they are and that they are part of our lives, and they can hear us and they listen to us and they love us. That moment that we close our eyes for the last time here on earth, we open them and they're all around. In fact, they even come early to help us across so that there's no fear in those last moments. Even our pets are there waiting for us. So there is joy for sure, but while we're here, there is work to do, and everything we experience, folks, as hard as it can be, yes, it's all growth for the soul, but it's also an opportunity to serve another. And whether you have a book out or a YouTube channel or a podcast, none of that matters. Sometimes what you go through and you're in the line at the grocery store and you just happen to say the right thing because you were being present, listening to someone else, and that could change someone's life. And it's all through those experiences. So with that, as we move into our medium demonstration, we're going to have Avril first be our medium, and then Mary. And they will work with the spirit world. The spirit world knows exactly who's here. Now, I don't know if they have a screen and a chat box and all those kind of things, but they know who's here. And they do a pretty good job of having some people from their world be the voice of everyone to say, we are here, we're very much real. You'll find, even if you don't get the message, it's not your person coming through, that the words that come through apply to everyone, just how close they are, and really good advice. So when our mediums work, they're first going to give you a few bits of information about the person that has contacted them. And they contact them through their memories and thoughts and feelings. So they're going to verbalize that. If you can understand 100% of the information that they shared, as somebody that you know that no longer walks this earth, a loved one, family member, friend, sometimes it's someone a little distant, but we want you to press your raise hand button. Now, again, it's all the information. If you can take some of it, let them work that out. but just raise your hand if you can understand all of it. So I do know we have lots of new folks with us today, as we do every week, and it's also a good opportunity for a little exercise. Find your raise hand button, everybody, on your device. Just press it for me, if you would. Look at all the hands go up. We can see your names, and all these hands are just up, up, up. Great. Then it should say lower hand, so just press it again. Your hand will go down. Isn't that fun? I don't know why I get such a kick out of saying this every week, but I do, because I'm crazy. Anyways, when we identify and we're down to one person left, I press a magic button on my side that will ask you to unmute yourself. You can't see that just yet. And that's an opportunity to be able to have the medium hear your voice. Now, we want to be all very careful. Let them do the work. And all there is for you to say is yes, no, or I don't know. And be honest, really be honest. They've got thick skin. They do everything they can to give the information as the spirit person is giving it to them. And we are people. We're not balls of energy when we go over there. We are still us. We are real people. So yes, no, or I don't know is all we need from you. And I think that's it. If I forgot anything, you guys will let me know. But we like to play a song before we start. And this song is another one that Mr. Philip Dykes picked for us today. Just an opportunity again to be present, but this time be present and just picture your loved ones with you. They are very real. And I think they love our Sunday gathering, maybe even more than we do. So here's our next song. And then we'll be back with Avril. Another beautiful song by Michael Franti, picked up by Mr. Phil. Avril, you are our medium up first. Welcome back.
Thank you. And thank you to all my colleagues here. It's so nice to work together cooperatively and to bring a diversity of opinion and insight into what are very profound and serious topics, but which we can gather inspiration from lighter things that touch our soul, the music, the memories. And it's interesting working with the spirit world because they don't come back and complain. They come back and tell us, you know, I mean, I complain all the time, but they come back and tell us moments in time that can often be quirky and special, but those moments give us a really good picture of their personality, of their individuality and authenticity. And for that, there is no doubt that their soul, their personality survives death. So and it's wonderful just to work in community. We gain so much more, and it takes us outside our own frame of reference. I'm aware that I have a gentleman in spirit, and I know that his life's work was the provision of clean water to communities, to vulnerable communities that didn't have access to clean water. Again, can we put that out there, Sandra?
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you can understand this information, please press your raise hand button. And sometimes they might not be someone in your immediate life. You need to look a little outside of the box. Sometimes that's how they work. No hands up just yet, Avril.
And how powerful is that pregnant pause? It always is. It
Always.
takes us deep within to say, have I got that right? But I know that this man's work, life's work, now I'm saying work, but it may not be work. It may have been a cause that he championed, but I cannot move away from his belief in providing clean water to those who needed it.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the spirit world knows who's here. So look inside, see if this jogs a memory somewhere of someone that you knew who had a real passion for clean water.
Now, if we still got no response, I have to go back to what I've learned and say, can I ask, is someone in the audience involved in providing clean and pure water to vulnerable communities?
No hands raised. Oh, could be. Well, sometimes I speak too soon. A pregnant pause, as you say. Donna, hello.
Hello, I sponsored Water for Life, for clean water for people throughout the world.
All right, can I work with you, Donna, because I know I had to speak about this, and I know
Yes.
it was very, very important. And I am aware of a gentleman in spirit, and I believe this is Father, and you would understand that Father was very passionate about actually all causes that helped vulnerable communities.
Yes.
And with your father, he wouldn't always be politically correct or diplomatic in the way that he expressed the need to support these communities.
No.
That's incorrect.
Yes.
Then you are the one that gets, that I would have to say that sometimes it just gets too much, and you can voice your opinion very strongly.
Yes.
And as I say that, I feel your father coming closer, and I know that he always encouraged you to speak the truth.
Yes.
And he always tried to ensure that you had the confidence to do that.
Yes.
But I know that sometimes you really criticize yourself for not always being able to stay calm with what you want, with your passion and your beliefs about helping these communities.
Yes, but I internalize. Yes.
Yes, all right. But he is so proud of you, because I know that he would. I actually know that you were the rock for your father.
Yes.
Because I know that your father had difficulty expressing the sheer, I feel it would really get him down to see these vulnerable communities not being supported, and he just couldn't find the words to express it.
Correct. Yes.
And he would internalize that as well.
Yes.
And I have to say, I have so much pride coming through from your father for what you're achieving, because I feel you are chipping away and you are getting some results. Now, I don't feel this is what you sponsor, but this is within your own community.
Yeah, I do sponsor, and yes.
Yes, I know, but I think I want to just talk about the work you do within the community. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
And you are chipping away, and you're finally seeing results.
Absolutely correct. Yes.
And I've got the words from your dad. You're just a chip off the old block.
Yes.
So I know your dad would like to use phrases like that with you.
Yes.
To lighten your load.
Thank you. Yes.
And to let you see the more humorous side of things, because I know your father could use humor when he was talking about very serious things.
Very much, yes.
So please take his love. And I know that you have a very different sense of humor from your father.
Yes.
But he'd like you to try out some of his jokes on people as an icebreaker.
I have been lately, yes.
Thank you for that. And take your dad's love. It's a pleasure to have him
Thank you,
so
Avril.
close.
It's such a gift. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Avril.
Now, I'm aware of a lady coming forward, and I believe this is Mother. I believe this is Mother. And I know that she had you later on in life. And I know that you were a real gift to your mum.
Okay. Who does that make sense to, this information? Well, we have Dina with her hand raised. Dina, if you could press your unmute button. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Dina. Is it all right if I work with you?
Oh, of course.
Now, as I say that, I know that your mum didn't suffer fools gladly. Do you understand what I mean by that? So your mum could take life quite seriously.
Yes.
But I know that you were so special to her. You were treated quite differently.
Yes.
And it's as if she would want to wrap you up and protect you.
Yes.
And you understand that it's almost like she'd like to put you in a nice little box and tie a bow on it. And she could be quite particular about keeping you safe in this world.
Yes.
And I know that could be a little bit suffocating at times.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But you always understood where your mum was coming from.
Yes.
And I know she also had a real thing about giving people gifts all the time.
She was
if that's not right, just say no to me, because there's something very specific about these gifts that I want to get to. So do you understand that before your mum passed, she wanted to give everything away as a gift?
Yes.
And she was very particular about who got what.
Yes.
And in some ways, she was a bit over generous. Do you understand?
I think I understand. I'm not sure about that.
No.
I understand that. Yeah.
Okay. Because I do know there was a little bit of confusion with your mum before she passed.
Yes.
And I know you were she makes me aware of how patient you were with her.
Yes. Yes.
Because I know she would get quite fussy, and she'd get herself into quite a state.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then it was your turn to comfort her, to let her know she was your gift, and to make everything around her comfortable.
I understand that. Yes.
And I mean, she just wants to express that things turned around, that the care she showed to you as a child in your upbringing, you showed to her, all through life, but particularly towards the end of her life.
Yes,
because
I understand.
You're in, and the word gift is coming through so much. It's a gift, and it's about a connection. It's a connection that is so profound, it's very difficult to replace.
Yes, I understand all of that.
And as I say that, she's just giving me the impression of a jack in the box. And it's your mum's way of saying, bing, here I am. I'm not far away. Do you understand that reference?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And she's the Jack in the Box. So now in spirit, she is uplifted. She's able to express herself fully.
That's wonderful.
Because I know you must have had conversations with her before she passed to reassure her that
Yes, I did.
yes. And I feel at that time it seemed as if she wasn't able to take that on board.
That's correct.
And that was your gift to her. So there must have been a time in the hospital when you were talking to other members of the family about the afterlife, and your mother was there, but she wasn't conscious.
Yes, yes.
Well, she was there. And what a gift, because you had that gift right from a little child.
Yes. I had that understanding early on. Yes.
Thank you very much. And you will always be that gift, and that connection will always be there.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
Now, moving on, I know I have Uncle in the spirit world, and I know that Uncle is quite a character. He's quite gruff. And I believe you'd have a memory with Uncle of a book called The Gruffalo.
Say that again, the Gruffalo?
Of a memory with Uncle of a book called The Gruffalo.
That's very specific. All right, ladies and gentlemen, who can understand this information? Press the raise hand button. A new book to me. It's a kid's book, someone just wrote. Okay.
It is a kid's book, and it's got the Gruffalo as the monster.
Okay. No hands are up yet.
So what I can do is take away the relationship, but I know this is a man and family, and there would be a memory of the book, the children's book, The Gruffalo.
We have Jane with her hand raised. Jane, if you could unmute yourself. Hi,
Hi.
Jane.
Hi.
Hi, Jane. You understand the reference to the book, The Gruffalo,
Oh,
with a
yes.
man in spirit?
It was a favorite book.
Thank you.
I'm not quite sure who the man is. Mm-hmm.
All right. So this was a favorite book for you,
No.
for your children.
Yes.
Can I work with you and see
Sure.
who we've got here in spirit? Because it's very specific, the Gruffalo. Because I would have to say, you would understand that that book actually was a way to communicate with your children about very serious things and things that were scary, but in a very manageable way. All right.
Maybe.
Let me continue with this, Sandra, and if everyone else can listen as well. And Jane will keep working and seeing if we can identify this man as your contact. But you do have Uncle in spirit.
Okay. It's not my uncle.
Yeah.
It's
But
my
but
child's.
he would,
It's my child's uncle.
good. Because I wanted to say he was very much like an uncle. This man's personality was quite gruff. Do you understand that?
No.
Do you understand that? I know this man's very loving, but I know that he could be quite serious he could appear very serious.
Yes.
Yes. And sometimes, you know, he was quite a difficult personality to deal with.
I wouldn't go as far as to say difficult.
Yeah, but what I would say is that you had a particularly good relationship with this uncle to your children.
Okay, so I don't think this is me.
Okay,
I mean, the book was
thank you. And
a
Jane,
favorite. Yeah.
Thank you for helping me with that. We've got two other participants with their raised hands, so let me move
Okay,
on.
thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
so honest. That's really, really important.
And you just keep listening in, Jane, if you would. Sue, you have your hand raised. If you could unmute yourself. Oops. Oh, I just
Sue?
pressed the button. Oh, I got a little fast with the finger. Sue, if you could do that again with the unmute.
Susan, do you understand the reference to the Gruffalo with a man, in spirit?
Yes, except for the uncle bit.
Yes. Okay, but you certainly understand the memory of the book with the Gruffalo with a gentleman in spirit.
Yes, and you described the personality of the person I'm thinking about.
And thank you. And what a lovely accent you have, Susan, and what a lovely surname.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I know that this man, you know, there was another side to him that was full of love, that was full of joviality.
Yes.
And I feel that would be, you know, when he was in a more relaxed social situation.
Yes.
And I have to mention his single malt whiskey.
Oh, yes. Right, yeah.
And because I know that on the surface, he could appear like the Gruffalo.
Yes, definitely.
But, you know, he was that loving personality inside.
Yes.
Now, he came, I did feel he was uncle, but you would understand that he was like an uncle.
Yes, in relation to this book, yes, yeah.
All right. And I know that as I said that, he would not have been happy with the way that I described that. This man did not like things that were vague.
Oh, black or white?
Absolutely, absolutely has to be black or white. And, you know, and he could be a little bit politically incorrect when you got him going.
Yes.
And I know that, you know, he would, his rosy cheeks and his rosy complexion would really fire up,
Yes.
you know, after he'd had his blend with the whiskey.
Yes.
And I know that he wants to come forward to uplift you and to give you some humor, because I know you're very strict on yourself.
I don't know if I'm strict. Well,
You're Scottish. You're very strict on yourself.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'll go with that.
But I know that this man could get everyone to respond and to laugh and to lift the room.
If he was in the mood.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you, because I have to say, he loved his times together with you because you were a wonderful audience.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You are someone who will always embrace everyone, no matter what their outer personality.
Yeah.
And I feel that's important for you to hear this at this time. So I'm going to have to stop there, Susan, because my time is drawn to a close. And thank you. And I have to say thank you from the Gruffalo.
Yeah, love that. Book and the video.
Excellent. Thank you, Susan.
Oh, thank you so much, Avril. Beautiful words. And I just had to look up the Gruffalo. I'll read it. And we have Mary with us. Hello, Mary. You should Mary.
Hi, hello. Welcome from Auckland, New Zealand. It's nice to be part of this amazing worldwide community, and an honour and a privilege to be of service to Spirit. Now, I am aware right now of mountains. I'm aware of a lady who was an avid skier. She's showing me herself in full ski outfit. And I feel this lady was either sister or someone very close. Can somebody take that, please?
Thank you, Mary. All right, close like a sister and loves to ski in the mountains. We have Carrie Ann with her hand raised. And Carrie Ann, if you could unmute yourself. Find that little microphone button, press it.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Carrie Ann. May I work with you, please?
Sure.
I feel this beautiful lady had a real passion for the outdoors.
Yes.
And was loved the winter, was an avid skier.
Snowboarding.
Oh, snowboarding. Okay. And wasn't afraid to take risks.
Nope.
No. I do feel the mountains and the outdoor was her passion.
Yes.
Lived for the winter. I feel like I'm living for the winter. It's almost, I feel like this is a sister, please.
No, a close friend.
A very close friend, but felt like a sister.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Very passionate. And
Very what?
I feel very passionate.
Well, I don't know what that means.
Well, okay. She was very much about the environment, and was clean air and fresh, and everything was like she was not comfortable with pollution, and she would talk about it, please.
Not that I can recall.
You can recall, but I feel like if she had a cause, she would be very loud about the cause and would tell.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, yes. And I feel her cause was around the outdoors.
I'm not sure. I didn't talk to her for a few years after she passed.
Okay, it's about clean. She's very much about clean living, please.
Possibly.
I feel like she didn't live in a city. I feel she was very much a slightly rural, slightly out in the country.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's almost like I feel like she said I needed to breathe. I'm getting from her, I needed to breathe.
Yes.
But a very kind heart.
Yes.
Very giving.
Yes.
Very supportive of her friends.
Yes.
And someone you could rely on.
Yes.
And it's like she's an amazing energy around her.
Yes.
She's coming through and saying happy birthday. So is there a birthday around now, please?
Today's my dog's birthday.
She just come through with a happy birthday.
Yeah, okay.
And it's just like, I feel like it's coming through just to say hello. And it's almost like you have a photo of the two of you that you've seen that you've just seen recently, picked up just recently.
Not that I remember.
Okay. I just feel there's a photo of the two of you, and it's almost like remembering the laughter and the fun.
Yes.
And she's just coming through with like remembering the laughter and the fun and enjoying of life.
Yes.
And I now know that you are going into that winter time, and she's just so this was the most favorite time, most favorite time of the year.
Yes.
And she's feeling that joy.
Mm.
And she's just coming through with lots of love and saying, happy winter. I'll leave that with you. Thank you very much indeed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie Ann. Thank you, Mary.
That's funny because I hate the winter. I'm a summer girl. Oh, lovely. Okay. So I'm aware of a gentleman here. He's in a uniform. I feel it's like a paramedic or an ambulance driver, but it's in that sort of service. I'm not sure of the relationship right now, but there's definitely a gentleman here, and he's showing me as like in that medical field, like a paramedic or an ambulance driver. Is anybody aware of this gentleman, please?
Everybody's thinking. Gentleman who was a paramedic or an ambulance driver. And Christine has her hand up. Christine, if you could press your unmute button. Hi, Christine.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Hi,
Welcome.
Christine.
Good morning.
May I work with you, please?
Yes, you certainly can.
Thank you very much. I feel this gentleman was very passionate about the role he took.
Yes.
And he was, but at times I feel like he was, at times he could be very closed off and he didn't want to talk about what he'd done or what he'd seen.
Not really.
It's like there was two sides to this gentleman.
Yes.
And one side, I feel one side was easy and light and easy flowing, but the other side of him could be at times very closed off and shut down.
Yes.
He, I feel this gentleman was very close to you, please.
Yes.
I feel the relationship is like brother or brotherly.
No.
No? Okay. Okay. This gentleman, I don't, he's drawing very close to you. I feel like he's coming in. He's actually put his arm around you as if to, he had a nickname for you, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Because what I got, this may not be, but I got the high sis or sissy.
No.
Okay, that's okay. But he was a man. This man was a man of his word.
Yes.
And if he said something, you could rely on it, that he would be there and you could depend on him.
Yes.
And he was well known in his field.
Yes.
And I feel like he was well respected for the job that he did.
Yes.
And I feel there are times, even when he wasn't on duty, he would still do the work that he does to help others.
Yes.
This man, okay, this man also had dogs, please?
No.
No, it's you who has the dogs.
In the past.
I just feel there's lots of dogs around. I feel like there's a vibration and energy from the dogs bringing solace and peace.
Yes.
this gentleman also was well read, please.
He was well read. Is that what you said?
Yeah, well, he loved reading, and it was always a seeker of information.
Yes, absolutely.
And very and always was always up on what was happening in the world.
Yes.
And would also give his opinion of what was happening in the world.
Oh, yes.
Even if you didn't want to hear it, you still got it.
Yes.
At times, I feel at times he was very playful and lots of fun.
Oh, yes.
And he had very good jokes. And like he would tell jokes, but some of them would fall very flat and some of them worked well.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. A very subtle sense of humor.
Yes.
Yeah. The gentleman with much love in his heart.
Yes.
And loved what he did, loved being of service and giving to others.
Yes.
I feel like it's just a love surrounding him, a love surrounding you, and it's almost like he's giving you the thumbs up.
Yes.
And just coming through with lots of love.
Oh, thank you.
I'll leave that with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you everybody for allowing me to step into this community to give you a little word from Spirit. Thank you very much. I'm deeply honored.
Oh, bless you, Mary, and Avril as well. And Maryalice as well. You guys are volunteering your time to be with us on our Sunday gathering to make a difference for mankind on both sides of the veil. And ladies and gentlemen, I know we all want to hear from our loved ones. And well, you might have heard on one of my radio shows, a past boyfriend who just made his way to the spirit world tragically last month. And I'm taking my own advice. If you take a picture of your loved one looking happy, healthy, and well, and just talk to them, that seems to be a little knock on the door. From everything we talked about today, being present, you will feel memories. And you may or may not get their voice, and that's fine. It may come to you in your own voice. But sometimes out of nowhere, like memory will come up, or a little joke, or a feeling. And depending on the relationship you had with them, if it's somebody you would touch, you can always take some time, talk to them, and ask them to just step closer. Whether it's putting their hand on your brow, or a little kiss on your cheek or your lips. Be present, work with them. They want you to know as much as you want to know that they're still alive. They really are. They'll be right there to greet you. It's really interesting as I'm going through this journey right now myself to pay attention to these things, to be more present. Because again, as Whitney said, one moment in time we can seize eternity. They are in eternity where we will be. We are part of their world. Heaven, the afterlife, isn't somewhere out there. I love the expression, our life here is but a thread in the fabric of our soul. There's such a bigger picture. So they are alive. You will see them again. Grief is the worst part. I want to remind you, you may or may not know this, but you're welcome to have a free copy of my book, We Don't Die, or the audio book. Chapter 10 is How to Survive Grief. And grief is not just when someone passes. It could be having your life torn upside down, your future. Maybe your job has been taken from you and you don't know what's next. So many reasons why we grieve. At the WeDon'tDie.com store page, WeDon'tDie.com, go to the store page. You'll see our upcoming classes, but just scroll down, find the audio book to We Don't Die. Use coupon code FREE, and you can either listen or you can read the PDF. While you're there, our upcoming classes are starting this week. Tomorrow we start with Scott Milligan. It's called Trance and the Altered States. You don't need to want to be a trance medium. We spend our 2 hours in the class with much time with our eyes closed, learning how to slow down that conscious mind to make that connection with loved ones. On Tuesdays, there's a brand new course starting with Carrie and Phil, really designed to help empower you, empower all. It's called the Empowered Self, working with your soul, the spirit world, with them, with the community to get through the toughest times, which I know going into the holidays can also be. So that's on Tuesdays. Wednesdays is our psychic class. It's a really good opportunity to learn how the soul to soul communication works. And you work with somebody who's alive and you get to share, and they can say yes, no, or I don't know, just like you just witnessed. And you build up that psychic nature and practice a little. And on the Thursdays, we're starting our medium class. So you can join, instead of working soul to soul with the human, you're working soul to soul with someone who's no longer walking on this earth. On Fridays, we invite you to use the coupon code FREE if you'd like. Join Scott Milligan and I for In the Arms of Eternity. It's an opportunity to send healing to the world. And as a trance medium, longtime trance medium, with over 25 years of experience, he allows a member from his spirit team in the afterlife to be able to use him and speak through him. And I've been working with Scott and his spirit team for over 7 years, and they never miss a beat. They can answer a question on anything with no judgment, only love, any topic about life, death, and the afterlife. If you want to get your hands in on a 5-hour class to try out medium skills and psychic skills, you can be a beginner or advanced. And first week in November, Carrie and Phil are having a class called The Underlying Story. And it's an opportunity to really dig down on what's coming to your mind and kind of unroll that story of what the spirit person is trying to say. Carrie and Phil have just announced yesterday they will be live in person, which is big news because it's the first time in, since COVID started. In the first week of December, they're going to be just west of Toronto, Canada. And they'll be teaching and also doing a demonstration. Everything can be found at wedon'tdie.com and click on the store. I know there's some people with us that are so graciously have donated to our Sunday gathering, and we thank you. And if you're somebody thinking of giving this week, may I recommend that whatever pennies you're going to share, you go to redcross.org, and that will be shared amongst wherever it is needed for those people impacted by the hurricane, or to somewhere that you know and love, because we read all your messages that came in the chat box, and our prayers are with everyone. So whatever makes a difference, if you want to turn whatever donation you were going to send this week, send it to someone. So we do appreciate it, though. And the last thing I want to say before I turn it over to Mary for the closing prayer is, if you can pick one thing from our Sunday gathering today and keep that on the horizon this week, whether it is to practice being non-judgment, or being like, looking at the raisin and treating every person or the things that you're doing, like really being present to them. Or like Maryalice said, have a timer go off that reminds me, be present, or be in gratitude, or make a difference for another. Just pick one thing to have on your radar screen. Can't do everything all at once, but just keep this conversation alive for the week, because your mind will want to put everything in the past or worry about the future. But the magic of seeing eternity is in the present. So I'd like to turn to Mary for our closing prayer.
Divine Spirit, thank you once more for the time we have spent this day, for the wonderful music, the words of inspiration, and the message delivered. And we ask that the healing prayers be sent where the most required, to those affected by wild storms, those affected by war, and those affected by violence. We also ask blessings on those who now step up to clean the damage and support those who are in need. Please bless us and keep us safe until we meet again. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you so much, Mary, and to my partners, Avril and Maryalice. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And just a shout out to you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. I'm so grateful that many of you put in the chat box where you're from, and we'll keep that going because it's nice to meet our community, even if we don't see you, just to know you're out there from all over the world. And of course, thank you to our friends in the spirit world who are much more real than we are. They are real. So we're going to go into our closing song, and we have Tim McGraw, Live Like You Were Dying. And instead of just being present, it's really taking advantage of an opportunity that we have while we're here. Make things happen, play full out, experience as much as you can. So here's Tim McGraw. Beautiful song. Let me put all of us on screen so we can all wave. Thank you guys. Thank you for your kind messages. We love you. You are part of our family. Someday we'll get to give you a big hug. Go make a difference. Go live in the moment. Go be present. And we'll see you next week, if not sooner. Bye.